Good afternoon, everyone. In the today's session, I'd like to discuss regarding the slaughter machine and planer machine working processes. So, moreover, in the unit number 3, we have covered this drilling machine and working related to it, different kinds of tools, and the tool holding devices, types of tools based upon the work part to be machined in order to transform the material to the required dimensional statistics as per the vendor specifications. And for the commencement of working process or the working operations or techniques, working techniques, we can call up in general, as we have been learned from the kinematics of machinery. Certain mechanisms will be utilized for getting commencement of the work with respect to the quantity of parts to be manufactured. So in order to increase the quantity, the book-written mechanism plays a best role for batch type of production with similar dimensional accuracies with a good quality and quantity obtaining objects. Later on, different mechanisms such as slider tank mechanism, Whitworth mechanism, etc., has been utilized for commencement of the work. Beyond that, we would like to discuss in detail in the today's class related to the shaping machine and a slotting machine. Slotting machine, that you are aware that shaping relates to confined the overall dimensions of the objects to be in a particular achievement of the dimensions as per the designed specifications, nothing but the part diagrams. So if at all each and every part had been obtained clearly as per the statistics, then it's quite common for the acceptance of the output as per the vendor specifications given by the company. And if the manufacturing has been aged or processed as per that particular statistics of drawings, obviously the assembly conditions will be in getting strategy and better. The results will be getting generated without any deformations while the manufacturing process is being commenced. Coming to the slaughter machinery, normally three different processes such as shaping process, slotting process, and our planing process. Those three different processes can be progressed by utilizing a single machinery as that shaper machine. By varying with respect to the tool, we can modulate the dimensions as we have been discussed in the yesterday's class, that shaper machinery, which is having so classified it into different working modes. That's some vertical, horizontal mode, counter mode of operationals can be progressed as per the statistics. Mode of working environment as per the environment, that the work part will be in a fixed condition, and based on the work part the tool should be have a dynamic motion in order to confide with respect to the task to be performed over that particular work part. Here in the slaughter machine, mainly it's a reciprocating machinery tool which is fixed over the tool post, and the type of the tool will be utilizing as per the particular shapes that are required over the work part. Normally, the tool holds within the tool post, in which that the ram is holding the tool, and it reciprocates over the work part, that in either in the horizontal axis or else the vertical axis, where the vertical axis has been considered. Here the cutting action of the tool will be varying only towards the downward stroke, and towards the upward stroke it will be in an ideal traverse. Hence, in the return stroke, we can clearly conclude that the work is held, or the work that has been commenced on the work part is ideal, because the work here, the work part will be fixed in the chunks or jigs and fixtures for our convenience. Similarly, with respect with equivalence to the drilling machinery, the work part will be faced with between the jigs and fixtures without having the dynamical motions, and wherever slotting actions are necessary, the corresponding tool will be slided with respect to the dynamical motions that made access for commencement of the work. Coming to the construction of this slaughter machine, the slaughter has been considered as a vertical shaper. Basically, it consists of the main parts such as a base, column, and table, ram, and tool head assembly, saddle and cross slide, ram, drive mechanism, and feed mechanism. These are the parts, the major parts of the slotting machine. As in the pictorial representation, it is very much clear that at the base, normally it used to fix on the concrete bed, and particularly we can say that the entire machinery is will be operated in the statistical mode, and these the cross slides that will be having the movement when the tool is in a fixed constraint. So here the tool is a fixed constraint. Hence, the work part will be made in a dynamical motions towards left and right ward movements, and even altering with respect to the different directions for rotating the entire work part, which is fixed within the chunk. And this column, nominally column, holds the entire parts, and the rotation of or the fixation of this tool within the tool post for machining and removing of this MRR, this material removal rate, by taking the cutting parameters as the feed rate and depth of cut. This mechanism casing plays a major role of withholding the entire directions given by the conventional actions. Coming to the vertical actions. So previous diagram, it's clearly specifying that work part is in dynamical action and the tool is in fixed position. And this simplified diagram clearly specifies that the tool will be having its reciprocating motion and work part is an fixed strategy. That it can be slided in order to change the position or direction of the work part, but the actions will be getting considered with respect to the movement of this ram. So as per the feed rate or depth of cut to be changed, this ram is used to vary with the help of this Whitworth mechanism, or else this entire reciprocating conditions Whitworth mechanism will be counterbalanced with respect to a weight. That is called balance weight. And nominally is the base which will be having the basic phenomena of holding the saddle, rotating table, and crosslegs. Column which is holding the and placing over the base. And the working actions will be getting progressed by the feeding conditions. Coming in depth, that what the specifications of these tools in the case of this, or rather parts in the case of this slaughter machine. Coming to the base, cast iron bottom case casting in order to take the compressive loads and to support the entire slaughter structure. Majorly horizontal guideways give the strategies or enacts the saddle need to move in a perpendicular with respect to the column, nothing but near and away towards the column. Coming to the column, it is mounted over the base and acts as an housing for the driving mechanism where the counterbalance is placed over it and gear link mechanism is getting actuated over that and guiding the slaughter movements with respect to the mechanism. That initiates the cutting parameters such as feed rate and depth of cut, and even have the motion of this slaughter or reciprocating actions towards the upward motion and the downward motion related to the ram. Coming to the saddle, it's mounted on top guideways of the base, which have the capacity of moving or sliding towards the cross lights with the help of the metal plate, which is having uh, allowed in order to move within its 360 degrees of orientation, which is nominally fixed with respect to perpendicular axis towards the base. Coming to the cross lights, it's mounted on the saddle and it's moved uh, in a parallel condition with respect to the column face. That is nothing but a ram direction. Slaughter condition relates to the rotatory table. With respect to cross alignment or circular interpolation is getting possible with respect to this rotatory table. Normally, it is rotated at a vertical axis, which is also called as the circular feed. And manually, with the help of these hand wheels, longitudinal movements are being provided for the table indeed to slide towards the left side direction or right side direction or towards the to and fro motion. So it is perpendicular axis with respect to the table, aligned to it, aligned to the casing. With this allowance, almost all the feeding were allowed or considered. Particularly, the T slots are provided on the table for holding the workpiece, which holds very much tightly for the work commencement, and allow the longitudinal feed of the saddle that creates the cross feed of the slide and rotatory movement over the table. And hence this feeding mechanism is given either by external process, that is nothing by manual working process, or else the hydraulic strategy, or else the pneumatic power supply can be utilized, or else this solenoid power supply can be utilized for it. As a programmable basis, normally we can say that as semi-automated machine or automation or conventional mode of actions. Coming to the RAM, it holds the cutting tool and reciprocates with respect to the workpiece over the work part, which is achieved by the quick return mechanism. Counterweight. It balances the weight for the arm while the operational process is being commencing. And this balancing, in the sense, during the working process, much more vibrations will be generating within the machinery upon feeding and considering this MRR process. Some vibrations, nothing but this jerky actions will be considering. So, in order to compensate those jerky actions, this counterweight plays a major role. One pulley, whereas the driving pulley utilizes in order to provide power from the external source to the slaughter. And even increases or decreases, incrementing or decrementing of so speed variations can be considered over this by this cone pulley. Drive pinion. This is key to the cone pulley shaft. Meshes with a large bull gear. And bull gear, it's very much larger than the drive pinion and provides the speed reduction between the cone pulley and the crank disc. Normally, crank disc is utilized or keyed or have a mating contact with respect to the bull gear shaft and it nominally revolves with it. Only the crank is movable mount in a radial slot, which is clamped rigidly over it. In order to adjust this screw, the screw is getting varied for its ram movement up to which length it has to be moved. Based on the sliding actions to be commenced, the crank and disc cinters will be getting varied. Coming to the types of the slaughters, so how many types of slaughters are there? Punch slaughter, tool room slaughter, production slaughter. Punch slaughter, a heavy duty rigid machine which is designed for removing a large amount of metal, nothing but commencement of this MRR actions from large forgings and castings. Tool room slaughter, normally a heavy machine which is designed to operate at high speeds. That takes the light cutting feeds, which gives the better accurate finishes. Production slaughter, even for heavy duty, we can consider this as a heavy duty slaughter consisting of a cast base and heavy frame made up of two parts, particularly utilized for processing the high quantity products which are repeatedly actuated over the work parts for getting the desired shapes. Coming to the work holding devices, so what are the types of work holding devices utilized in the case of the slotting machines? Vices used for holding the work parts, T clamps holds for the used for holding the work parts, T clamps which are normally fixed over the working bench, parallel strips, special jigs and fixtures with respect to three finger alignments or else four finger alignments, two finger alignments. The rotating table holding of the work part with it and rotating the table as per the convenient of slotting actions to be progressed by the work tool or the working part. Packing pieces for the overall travel of the tool. So these are the work holding devices that are characterized or fixed for the commencement of slaughter actions over the one part. Coming to the operations of slaughter, basically the slotting machine is used to cut the slots to a particular depth of cut by having a definite shape and structure to it. Splines keyways for both internal and external jobs. Particularly, you can say that machining internal and external gears. Moreover, it is used for shaping the internal and external profiles. Used for machining concave, circular, and semicircular, even the convex surfaces. So here, the operating plays a major role for commencement of the activity without any fluctuations. And even the slaughter machine have the capacity of machining for the vertical surfaces and machining angular or inclined surfaces, and even machining of these particular shapes to be accessed either of the V shapes or double V shapes, U shapes, triangular shapes, or rectangular considerations, which are very much difficult in order to produce on a shaper machine with the dies and punches concerned dies and punches with the utilizations. For crossing of the blind holes, also the slaughter machine plays a major role. So, what are the specifications to be followed for commencement of the slotting machine, slotting working process? The first thing it is the maximum stroke length. Nominally, the working mechanisms as slider crank mechanism or whipper mechanism or it's the rope and pulley type of mechanism is utilized for making the actions of this ram over the work part by holding the tool that it allows the maximum length of travel by this ram which holds the tool with respect to the ram. There's the first specifications to be initiated. Second thing, the diameter of the rotating table based on the work part, because if the diameter of the rotating table is very much less, high diametrical objects cannot be initiated the working process of this particular machinery. So the range of this diametrical table specifies the object's working progress. Maximum travel of saddle and cross slide. So the distance of this to and fro motion and sliding towards the left and the right directions. Type of the driving system that is utilized, as we have been discussed, the Whitworth mechanism or slider crank mechanism, rack and pinion type of mechanism, etc. Or different kinds of mechanisms, as we have been discussed, the kinematics of machinery can be utilized for the driving actions. Moreover, gear and pulleys type of system is being utilized in the standard conditions of this shaper, slide, slaughter, and shaping machinery. Power rating of the motor as per the type of materials that we are being progressing in the working as stations. The motor and bits range will be getting varied. The net weight of the machinery, number and amount of feeds, floor area that is required for installation of the machinery. Coming to the mechanisms, wide range of mechanism that is placed is the quick return mechanism. Whereas the metal from the workpiece is removed, nothing but the MRR condition, metal removal rate, is getting progressed only by the sliding motion of this ram over the work part with the help of this tool. And the second, there is nothing but the retraction stroke. The sliding motion is ideal. So nothing but in the initial stroke where the feed rate has been fixed nominally, the metal will be getting removed, and in the return stroke, ideally on the removed material place, the tool used to return back to the original position. With no functionality on the work part by the tool. Hence, in order to reduce the ideal time in the return stroke, a quick return, because there is no any work that is being progressed in the return stroke. In the initial stroke, the depth of cut is being fed to the tool and MRR condition is getting progressed. In the return stroke, there is no any MRR condition here, and hence the coefficient of friction that is being developed at the tool and tool tip and the work part will be commencing only in the forward stroke. In the return stroke, There is no any contact occurrence between this tool and work part. Hence, it need to compensate that lead times, nothing but ideal times. Ideal times here clearly specifies that no work is getting progressed upon the movement of this RAM while return stroke is being considered. Particularly, these quick return mechanisms are widely used in this slotting machine. And even the Whitworth quick return mechanism, the variable speed reversible electric motor drive mechanism, hydraulic drive mechanism, the pneumatic drive mechanism, hydroelectric or hydro pneumatic mechanisms, which are placing a trending in the present day's world for the quick access of the working process in order to decrease the lead timings or ideal timings in the work in progress. As this Whitworth mechanism, Whitworth quick return mechanism, variable speed, reversible electric mechanism, hydraulic drive mechanism, and special working process as that complete electrical automatic mode and pneumatic drive system supplied monitored with respect to an electrical conditions has been clearly discussed in the shaper mechanisms in the previous classes. Coming to the planars, is the activity that can be done on the same machinery, but with a slight manufacturing deviations. Moreover, the shapers are particularly utilized for processing on the large workpieces. So here we have a limitation in the case of the slotting machinery, such as jigs and fixtures will be utilized on the working table, and the rotating table is fixed over it and monitored as per the specifications that we have been required. But the heaviest objects which will be utilized in an aviation technology or else rocket launchers, etc., those will be having an largest diameters. We have said another one more point in the case of this planars also, or slotting machine also, that large diametrical objects cannot be accessed in the case of this work in progress, in particularly in slotting machineries. But in the shaper machineries, it processes the particular actions by holding the largest weight of objects by hanging over, by hanging with respect to a weight hangers. And only the short strokes of RAM movements can be progressed over it for the commencement of activities. Moreover, this activity is done because of the capacity of long table travel and because of its robust construction. As we have discussed in the shaper machine, the reciprocating machine is given reciprocating motion or actions or dynamical actions of reciprocating has been given only to the cutting tool in case that planar, in case of the planar work that is reciprocates and tool is given in the feed. Even the surface can be machined in multi actions. either in a horizontal mode of action, or else in a vertical mode of action, or else in a particular contact positions that are required at required inclinations. The planar is used for commencing the activities over the flat horizontal surfaces, vertical surfaces, even in the curved surfaces also. And particularly at special case of dimensions, as we have been discussed in yesterday's class as the dovetail joints. Dovetail joints. So fixing of the work party and particular inclination and accessing the tool with respect to sliding motions. For the commencement of the work progress, there is MRR process to be considered for the metal removal, indeed to obtain the perfect joint. And planing the slots and grooves also will be considered in the case of this planars. Coming to the working principle of this planar, particularly in the planar machinery, the work is supported on the table, which reciprocates past the stationary cutting tool, and the feed is imparted by the lateral movement of the tool. Even this tool is a device clamped in the tool holder and get work on the table. And here we have to consider one point. The work part is in a dynamical motion in the case of this planar machinery, and tool is in the fixed motion, having the fixed motion. Nominally, in the return for removing the workpiece from the work table, which is fixed in the jigsaw fixture for the commencement of work, the to and fro motion of work activities in the case of this leftward direction or is the rightward direction. In the case of this leftward motion, the slotting will be getting commenced, or else this planing will be getting considered over the surface of the object. And ideally, it will be getting travel in a reverse direction because no feed rate will be getting given over it. So hence, we will be considering as an ideal traverse in the case of reconstruction. Coming to the types of planar machineries, according to its constructions, there are the different types of planar equipments. First one is the double housing planar, open side planar, pitch type planar, divided table planar, and edge type of planar. See, this is a double housing planar, which is utilized to progress the cutting actions with respect to two different tables, two different feeding rates. See, this is the tool heads, tool head 1, tool head 2. Housing holds the entire tool heads and getting the grip of this tool head. And this is the table and which is mounted over the butt. We have the sliding actions towards it. The cutting actions will be getting taken place here. If at all, at two different positions of the working part need to be commenced, simultaneously both the tools will be activating or getting in contact with respect to this work part for commencement of those two different slides, and hence two different working process with different feed rates can be as on the work part even in a single stroke of a single movement of this sliding motion commenced by this ramp or bed on which the work part is fixed. And here the tools are permanently fixed. And the moving element is nothing but the work part over the spread. So that is the double housing planar. Two different slottings or two different planar positions can be progressed simultaneously during the single stroke. So normally using this bed, a table, commonly in the case of this double housing planar. Simultaneously, this open side planar. It's an unitary actions that is quite common with respect to the double housing planar. So only the unitary tool will be getting exist and the work progress will be taking place. Pit type of planar. Pit type of planar. There is the sharp edged consequences. We take shots finishings with respect to the overall elements, the overall work part. The different strokes will be getting considered in the case of split type of divided table planar. So divided table in the sense here we are having only the one RAM, and instead of sliding one RAM, we will be having different tables and different actions. For example, one part is fixed over it, and the part will be fixed over it, and two stroke will be considering in this work part, and four stroke may be considering in the next working table. So movements of or dynamical actions of this tables will be getting varied in its work progress. And finally, the edge type of planar. Indeed, to commence the planing actions or getting correct dimensions over these edges, this edge type of planars will be utilized. That's the different types of planar machineries utilized for getting the finishings over the work parts of different kinds of materials. This is the detailed discussion regarding this planar machineries.